My name is Jaye Edwards. I used this name during the war, and most of my life I've been called Pete. Our surname was Peterson. I was a member of the Air Transport Auxiliary after I had served nursing in the WAF, and then moved into ATA, which is Air Transport Auxiliary, where we flew planes for the RAF, but were civilian pilots. Originally, I grew to 5'11", a good 5'11", but never actually hit 6. And my parents were just about the same height. I flew the first time in April of 1939. I had read in the newspaper about a National Women's Air Reserve. It met on Sundays so that girls working in stores and offices would be able, from London, would be able to come. We met in Luton, which is just north of London. We wore white boiler suits and were given information about the makeup of planes and how they flew, so I started flying lessons. At the time, UK government realized that they were going to need a lot of young people, particularly boys, but they included the girls, to fly planes during the war. And ATA, when it was formed in early 1939, and they were formed to use this opportunity of getting cheap flying, and it was five shillings an hour weekdays and 10 shillings an hour on the weekends. That way, I, as a person not working outside, was able to start earlier. My mother was paying. I had said to her, what would you say if I was going to learn to fly? She said, we'll have to think about that. So I said, that's okay, I'll just wait till I'm 21. That's in 6 months. When you were called to go to Tame, and there they had an airfield, grass airfield, and they checked you out to see what you had done previously. There were some of us had flown, as I had, with 2 hours solo. Some had never been on a plane. We'd finished that course and done cross countries to prove you could fly without any communication with the ground and no names on maps. You went, when you were given what they called a chit, you would go to the Met and ask about the weather and also ask where this place was, because it was written on the chit, but it wasn't on the map. And they would put a pin and point, this is where you're going. Yes, a prang is when you hit the ground. I was about 50 yards off the fence, and the boys were working in a shack close by. I was being very conscientious. I was looking over my left shoulder and being sure that everything was fine, nothing here, forgetting completely about the right. And all of a sudden, crunch, I'd hit a tree. I don't know what happened to the tree, but I put my hand out. I can see it now. I put my hand out to make sure the gas was turned off. The rod was broken. It couldn't feed any gas, so there was no possibility of fire. But the guys were out of their shack and over to me and said, we don't have to cannibalize a plane, you've done it for us. So they were not unhappy. And they picked me up with an ambulance and took me to hospital. And I had to say to them, my sister's a theatre sister, please let her know. because I didn't want her to be getting the hospital, the operating room ready, because I knew I was going to have to go in. I'd lost my teeth. They were left in the crash pad. Well, well, I could have done much more harm. I was lucky. But yes, I did have a second prime. I landed, and I thought I'd landed with my wheels going up. It was a Spitfire that way. But they told me no, it landed with drift on it. So, but we didn't get to see it. You know, they didn't take you to see it. So you had to take their word for it. I mean, some of the things I did during the war were quite positive to me and negative to really being in war. The Spitfire was it wasn't the best in the world, but it was the best in what it did. It could maneuver more quickly and efficiently than any plane. In '44, when they were desperate for planes in Malta, there was an aircraft carrier, and we had to get planes over into Northern Ireland. And the planes were in Yeovilton. The older pilots could take the direct route or get themselves the way they wanted. The juniors had to go into Scotland to the first spot that sort of was a slight bulge out towards Ireland and fly the shortest distance across the ocean, or the North Sea, to get to Ireland and then go to Belfast and land. And the second you were down and in the parking lot, there was a naval chappie who jumped on your wing, pressed the button so the wings went up. Were you navigated by the seat of your pants? You had the map. That was it. Well, I was on a training session, and the instructor was going to show me a stall turn in which you go almost vertical and then turn very sharply sideways. And she did this, and my stomach said, no way. And I was very sick. She was sitting behind me. We landed very promptly. She landed very promptly. She had to clean up. Yes, that was quite... But I never... because of that, knowing that ATA demanded that you take a plane and land it where it was of some use and in good shape, I never attempted aerobatics myself. You have to laugh. You have to have a laugh in life. The opportunity was there. I took it. I think if you look at my limerick, they sort of put that thought in the limerick, that I did what I wanted. There weren't so many chances in my generation to do things that were unusual.